And we're live.
Yeah.
Hey, folks. We are back on night 3 of Can You Survive the Hunter's Moon? You're here with your 2 live after show hosts. I'm Kevin Rodriguez from last season, Tides of War, season 6.
And I'm Isaiah Kidd from season 5, The Great Mountain.
And just like we did yesterday, we'll be doing these every night to kind of recap the day. If you just kind of want some extra tidbits of what went on throughout the day, or if you didn't get to actually see the streams throughout the day, this is a good place to get your full digest before diving into tomorrow morning. So a lot of crazy things happened today. Looking at today at a glance, we basically started with 15 people. We had Culp on Exile Island last night. And
the onesies.
Oh yes, the onesies. So we're having a little onesie night.
little onesie night.
I'm a shark.
And I'm a triceratops. So.
It's a me. But the hood's a little in my face, so you're not getting that. Ooh. And but so recap at large, we started with 15 people. Culp was on Exile Island. We had 2 separate tribes of 7. Exile Island actually was where Culp went to the hunting grounds, and he stayed with everybody who was not yet eliminated from this game but had been voted out. So we kind of can see if Culp got to interact with certain people and how that might affect the game later on. Then we got all the way down to our final 10. And then from our final 10, they merged. And we found that the Battleback Challenge happened. We'll get into more details on all of this, but we are looking at a final 11 merge as of tonight.
Yeah.
So I'll pass it to Isaiah to get into the details.
Yeah, all right. So we started our day, like Kevin said, with our final 15, or final 14 technically, with Culp on the sidelines. So the first challenge for the today was actually, it was almost like a multi-stage obstacle course in a way. So we started with we have like a kind of like a, not a pipe, but I guess like a pipe. With a little ball on top, and players had to walk across a balance beam and then go over some hurdles, and then get their ball to the end. And after the first 5 of them got through that, the final 2 players did a kind of like a tension string ring maze with one of the balls, and it was CYS, and they kind of had to navigate through there. So if you've seen one of the recent episodes of Survivor 47, similar to that kind of maze, it was very, very, very close because of the fact that the balance beam and the hurdle section of the challenge was such a big learning curve for a lot of the players, especially it was super, super cold. It was very windy for early in the morning. And it took a while because there was like over and under factions of the hurdles. So it took a while for players to kind of understand that kind of groove to it. But once people started to get into the groove of those things, they did pretty well. So we saw, I believe it was the new Talos tribe, right?
That's
correct? Yes. They were the ones who got the groove a little bit easier, a little bit faster than the new Cutler tribe, with Jazzy and Taylor taking the helm on that little ring and ball maze. And I believe on their first try, I don't even think that they dropped the ball out of that maze. They secured the immunity win for New Talos, or the Creamsicles as they were calling themselves, which I thought was adorable. So we saw the new Cutler tribe heading to Tribal Council. For this tribe, there is a mixture of, let's see, it was a mixture of, it was a 3-2-2 tribe, I believe, from original tribes. I believe it was 2 green. Yes, 2 green. Oh no, sorry, 3 green, 2 tan, beige, and 2 red. So pretty even split, with green kind of having that a little bit of an advantage with that extra person, which kind of allowed red and the cream colors to come together and make a 4 and decide that they wanted to take out a green between Brad, Tyler, and Bergen. Ultimately, it came down to Brad and Tyler. It seemed that that group before were convincing Brad that since he had voted for Tyler the night before, that's kind of what they were going for, and vice versa with Tyler. But ultimately, when it came down to the vote, it was a vote of 6 votes for Brad, 1 vote for Tyler, and Brad was sent to the hunting grounds. And yeah, so that's basically about that. Another point that I forgot to mention as well, It seemed that, not seemed that, it was what happened. Bergen apparently early in the morning had said that he wanted to possibly throw the challenge because of the fact that whoever went to tribal would get Culp back. And Culp and Bergen and Tyler are a type 3, and Bergen and Culp are a type 2. So Bergen's strategy was to lose the challenge, vote Brad out, who wasn't a part of that green core alliance, and get one of his closer allies back, which he successfully did. So yeah, and then Culp joined the tribe back and joined new Cutler.
Yeah, I mean that was a round that worked out pretty well for Bergen, for Culp, for Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is they got out somebody that was in the minority on their original tribe of Green. They had targeted earlier in the game Brad's ally, and now they knocked out Brad, and now they have their core 3 alliance all back together at this point. So definitely big moment for them. And
so gave them that, again, 3-2-2. So they, again, in a weird way, have an advantage because they have most of their original members, but at the same time, it's possible in the future, and we'll talk about it, is if Talos and Cutler stuck together with that 4, or they diverged from it. So, yeah.
Exactly. Just answering questions along as they come. Are the players sleeping outside? Yeah, they are still sleeping outside. They've been sleeping outside this whole time. Tonight they're all at one camp, but they're doing the thing. Temperature check. It's 55 degrees outside, pretty windy, and it's going to get all the way down to 48 degrees tonight.
Nice.
So
chilly.
I do not envy that.
No, not at all.
Not in the slightest. Okie doke. Getting to our next challenge. This one was... Remind me what okay. So they were going back and forth on the challenge field with this wooden wheelbarrow, and they had to wheel a bag of puzzle pieces from one side of the challenge field, pass it through a structure. So a lot of using their shoulders, having to be kind of delicate with it, but fast at the same time, and then kind of shuttle it back and forth until finally they solved an arch puzzle. So if you've watched a season before this with Banu, and Banu yells at, who was it?
Jess.
Banu yells at Jess for like dropping it, and she's not holding it up. Imagine like a smaller version of that puzzle, this like arch puzzle piece. So we saw the new Cutler tribe win. So the opposite tribe that just had lost now won, and so that sent the new Telos tribe to tribal council. So this one was spicy. So let's give you the lay of the land. For this guy, we had 3 original Talos, the Cream tribe. We had 3 original Cutler, the Red tribe, and then 1 Lone Ranger, Alex, from the original Machias tribe, the Green tribe. So we've got a 3-3-1 original breakdown. So you might wonder, is it Alex pairing on one side to go 4-3? Is it Alex pairing on the other side going 4-3? Or do they all just gang up on the Lone Ranger that's Alex?
Right.
So very unique of what ended up happening. So at that challenge, there was at a previous challenge we talked about yesterday, there were very visible idols that showed up. Brad ended up with one who played it correctly yesterday. Fern ended up with one that went around pretty quickly, and most folks know that Cam has one. So now there's this tribe where Cam has an idol, Fern has an idol, and not exactly sure how Cam's idol didn't really get talked about, but Fern's idol was the spotlight of this tribal. Everybody was talking about it. They either wanted to get Fern out or to flush that idol. And so what ended up happening in the end is they really made Fern comfortable.
Yeah, and I would say that they refers to, I would say Jazzy, Melissa, and Taylor did a very good job at making Fern feel very comfortable to not have to use their idol. To the point where, even in the vote, Fern voted for someone who wasn't even like the second name, because it came down to a 4-2-1, and that 1 was just a random vote that Fern had put on, instead of it being like a 4-3, which I was expecting. I thought that maybe the people who were controlling that vote against Fern might have just said, hey, this is the other name, and it would just, make it easy, but that's not what happened.
No, they left Fern completely in the dark.
Yeah.
Basically, the 6 of them somehow got on the same page of saying Alex is the decoy vote. We have 6 people. Fern doesn't need to know about anything.
Right.
We're going to have 4 votes on Fern, 2 on Alex, 1 on Brianna. And we were all crossing our fingers that we get a correct idol play. Even heard Fern say in one of their early confessionals, I'm gonna play this idol no
Yep.
matter what.
Yep.
And then when we saw Fern not play their idol, we were like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like people did numbers.
Yeah,
like,
Fern
highlighted.
literally told me yesterday that they were like, I do not want to go home with this in my pocket. And that's what happened. So it was a very interesting tribal. I also want to point out too, I think that the dynamics of that tribe were so interesting. Like you were kind of pointing out how it was you had 3 red, 3 cream, and then the 1 green. And Alex had told me earlier in the day, or during that, I want to say maybe during that tribal when we were doing confessionals, is that even though he was in a swing vote position, because normally that's how that would work, he didn't feel like a swing. He felt like he was, for some reason, in the way of this, whatever dynamic that was going on in the tribe. So he never really felt comfortable in that position. And then also at the same time, kind of again, having an idol from Cam, having an idol from Fern, which are technically from 2 separate tribes, both with 3 people, both in kind of trios that seemed, at least yesterday, very comfortable, not go that way, because it seemed that maybe again the Fern, Jazzy, Melissa thing kind of got a little like shifted around, because apparently Melissa had revealed to Jazzy that Fern had an idol, and Fern had never told Jazzy, and that's what caused Jazzy to target Fern.
Yeah.
Which I think Jazzy is kind of shown that it's like she does trust you. If she like feels good vibes with you, trusts you, is loyal to you, she will be that way. But as soon as you give her a reason to not trust you, she's like, bye, you're not good for my game, and you gotta go.
I get that.
So
that's how I play. If you've thrown out my name and well, then you're targeting.
Yeah, or you're keeping something
Oh,
from me, like nope.
Give me a reason, I'll use it.
Yeah, so it was very good, very interesting for sure. Okay, so then we went into the next challenge. Again, another one of my honestly very favorites from today, called Escape Room. So this was a multi-part challenge where the tribe mates got split up. So we had the first stage of the challenge was basically where it's like the jailbreak challenge. So one player out of a duo, one player had to tie sticks and twine together to make a pole, like a makeshift pole, and then take this ring off of a further table, bring this, pull this box back. Then the second player had to untie the box, get a code or like a list of something to make a code or something, which then would go over to a player on their team that was literally tied up to a post by their wrists and their ankles, and unlock the lock. And then there was other challenges as well. So the second one was like a grappling hook one. The third one was a number puzzle that was a letter puzzle that was actually a math equation that would give them that code. And then the fourth one was like a interesting, which I loved. It was like a slide puzzle that one person had to lay on the ground, and there was an image on the underside, and then the overside, the person who was tied up had to tell them, like, there was numbers. So once the image on the bottom was finished, the number code in the middle of that puzzle would give them the code for that last lock, and then they would run and get the immunity. So it was a very multi-layered challenge. It also showed I feel like the skills and the facets that each person kind of had to provide, because each challenge was so different. And you kind of saw certain players thrive and certain players not thrive. And it ultimately ended with New Talos. Yep, New Talos winning and taking back after a huge, almost a huge loss. As what we were seeing is that New Cutler had this huge lead. I want to say 2 stages ahead. They were
at
maybe
least 10 minutes.
Yeah, like it was a huge stage because Cam could not get the the stick and the twine pole to like stay together enough to get this first part back to where the other tribe, Talos, Cutler. My goodness. Cutler to the math equation puzzle, and that is where things went awry, where Culp could not get this math equation correct. He got the puzzle right. He saw what it was. I believe it was like 32 times 12 or something like that, and he just could not get the math. And then because he could not get the math, he then started doubting himself if the puzzle was even spelled correctly. So he completely kind of shifted everything around, gave the chance for New Talos to come in and catch up to him. Alex immediately got the puzzle, got the equation, moved on to the next stage, and they came back and took that win. So New Cutler went back to Tribal. And then that kind of was an interesting dynamic because, again, like we were saying earlier, it's like the first tribal with them was 3 green, 2 red, 2 cream. So you would think maybe they would do the same thing, right? The reds and the creams would go for another green to kind of even that out, but that was not the case. I feel like this is where we really saw the element of the hunting parties kind of come into play, because there was a lot of talk of possibly going for Matt, because Matt, Dave, and Bergen, who were on that same tribe, they were one of the only 2 intact hunting parties left in the game. So people were wondering if they should go for Matt. And then the other side was David, the other OG Cutler that was on that tribe. And the main conversation was just cutting down original Cutler, because apparently at that point in the overall game they had majority. So I think that's where the original CYS people were allowed to kind of hide and like set back, was that they were like, okay, cool, we want to focus on another tribe. Cool, you're not focusing on us. So it came between. It seemed like David and Matt. Those were the 2 names kind of being tossed back and forth, with a possibility of there being Culp being a name as well. But we got to the tribal council, and it was a 6-1 vote for David, 1 vote for Culp, and David joined the hunting grounds as well, which then left Miko as the only member of their hunting party left in the game. So yeah, that's about it for that one, I believe.
There we go.
Yeah, great.
All right, moving on to the next one. So this one was interesting in terms of the challenge itself. So challenge itself was relatively pretty simple, but the way it was set up, it looked like it was going to be another tribe versus tribe challenge. But in reality, what happened here is that this was an individual immunity challenge. Mm-hmm. The way that it worked was, imagine this like the way that you have a spool of yarn. Imagine a massive version of that where you could fit a human on top. Human is on top, rolling with that twine ball or spool, and the teammates are helping them roll it across. And you're wondering, why are the teammates helping? The beginning started as a tribe challenge where you would help roll your teammate on that spool to then eventually get to a suspended bag of rings that they would have to untie. And then basically what you were doing is working to get people on your tribe an advantage to be able to get into the second part of the challenge quicker than the other tribe, to give you and your tribe, mainly, I mean, you're kind of fighting for yourself at that point. You're fighting to give you a bigger lead against the other 6 people to get that individual immunity. And then very simple, everybody had a ring and they were trying to toss it on a stick, land it through the stick. And what we saw happen was actually New Cutler was actually the ones to get all those puzzle pieces down first. No.
New Taylor's.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, New Taylor's got it down first, and then with Jazzy with the ring in her hand, threw it once and landed it, and boom, and the whole thing was over. It was a very anticlimactic challenge.
It was so quick to the point that New Cutler thought that they could still like play. Like they kept going because they didn't think that it was going to be that fast, but Jazzy nailed it.
So it ended up being a double tribal, with the only person safe across both of those tribals with all 12 people in play was Jazzy. So first people we saw go to tribal.
But then Jazzy got to...
Oh, yes. So the way that it worked is that Jazzy actually was able to grant individual immunity to somebody on the other tribe. So we saw Jazzy give individual immunity to Dave, one of her old allies, somebody that she was working with pretty strongly on New Talos. She was getting a little choked up and a little emotional, both from her win and for the fact that she got to get the opportunity to save one of her close allies. And so gave that to Dave. So we're looking at 2 different tribals. One that has Jazzy's side. Jazzy is safe at that one. 5 people are vulnerable. Other side has Dave safe. 5 people vulnerable. So let's go first into the one with Dave's tribe. So Dave's tribe dynamic, that's the one we just talked through, that had the 3 green who are still around, 2 cream with Miko and David, and then 1 last red. We lost a red last go around with David, and Matt is the last red person. So like Isaiah highlighted last time, hunting parties again came into play here, but in a unique way. So a recap of the hunting parties, they know that if they get all 3 members of their hunting party intact to the merge, they will receive an advantage. So the hunting party in question here, that's like a big topic of discussion, is Matt, Dave, and Bergen, who are all on the same tribe. So Dave was kind of running into this thing of, I don't want to enter into the merge with a public advantage, which is so fair. Like, if I was playing, I would want to be playing like Dave. I don't want an advantage everyone knows about. To me, that's a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Other people think otherwise, or it's a risk-reward situation.
Right.
And so that was a big piece of contention. Then there was the concept of eliminating Miko, who was the last member of his hunting party. David was part of his hunting party, and then BJ, who we saw get out really early on. And so what that meant is that by eliminating Miko, you also eliminated David, and they were off the table to come back into the game. And so what we ended up seeing happening was Miko and Matt, they said, we know we're the two names. And I think folks just either connected a little bit better with Matt, or the hunting party, they wanted to keep Matt around for the potential advantage. There seemed to be a lot of different things going on there. And as far as what led to the decision one way or the other, we just saw Miko be the one go home there, 5-1.
I definitely think the factor that might have came into Miko being the one to get voted out is that, so the remaining 5 people, right, are the hunting party, so Matt, Dave, and Bergen. And then the other 2 are Culp and Tyler, who are tied in with Bergen being those original green. So I feel like that might have been why they pushed it to Miko, to just be like, okay, well, let's get out an original hunting party, because you already have the number in 2 different ways. You have members, and technically that is kind of center core of Bergen, I feel like, because Bergen has his hunting party, and then Bergen has his 2 green.
And that's true. And Bergen did actually wanted the advantage. Dave did not want the advantage, and Matt obviously didn't want to be voted out. So that leaves you with 2 of the 3 hunting party members wanting to keep Matt in.
Yep.
So, okay.
All right.
Then we get to the other tribe for the same challenge.
Yes. So the second tribe again is the new Talos tribe. Again, that is the one that had, I believe, again, at this point now it is the 2 green, was it Melissa Jazzy? Yes. So we had 2 Talos, 2 original Talos, 3 original Cutler, and then Alex as the remaining Machias. This one was pretty interesting because leading up to that tribal, it seemed like there was a consensus on who the tribe was going to vote for, but there were a lot of factors that were being talked about and mentioned. People were talking about the idol that Cam basically publicly had. The fact that we still had the charity immunity advantage going around. Apparently the tribe had kind of deduced at that point, since a couple of people had gone out by now, that it was possible that Melissa had the charity advantage, that Brianna had the charity advantage. So that left them out, and then they were wondering if Alex had the charity advantage. So that technically would have left 3 people. If you were to vote for them, they would have been immune. And then again, you have Cam with that idol, and then you have Jazzy with immunity. So that leaves Taylor with nothing. And I think people were kind of freaking out because it seemed that Alex was going to be the name, and that was kind of where people were targeting. But they all had in the back of their mind, but what if? But what if Alex, has that charity immunity? And Cam specifically was, what if I don't play my idol when I need to play it? Because when it comes to idols and that twist, let's say if you played your idol in the first round and you tried to vote out someone who had that charity advantage, in that revote, that's technically not a revote, it's a new tribal. So that idol is no longer around, and Cam would be vulnerable again. So Cam was freaking out about that in his way, and then Taylor was freaking out about having nothing and being Surreed out, if anybody knows that term in the Survivor lore. Or you're basically voted out with no votes. It's just because you have no way to save yourself or have any kind of immunity. But ultimately, there was a vote of 5-1 for Alex, and then 1 vote for Taylor. That sent Alex as our last member of the hunting grounds. And yeah, left us with our final 10.
Amazing. So one important thing to note that I think now going into our final 10 and eventually final 11, we'll get to that, is, like you highlighted, folks think Melissa has an idol.
Yep.
And that's because of the predator versus prey beware advantage that happened literally day 1, where Brianna and Taylor were the only 2 folks who took it. The other 2 pairs did not take it, but Melissa went with her pair that was Brian, and well, this is so interesting. I'm gonna put a pin in this because Brian comes into play later.
Mm.
But Melissa went with Brian, and Brian was the first one to go home. So people think that Melissa got an idol by eliminating Brian, but they never opened that Beware advantage. So interesting to see how that goes out. So we get to our final 10, which brought us to the merge. So they dropped their buffs at final 10, which is such a late merge, and they were really feeling it. So it was a good feeling to finally have that. Then we got through a merge feast. It was a whole rotisserie chicken, a big thing of mac and cheese, an apple pie, some apple cider.
Big jug.
They were eating good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the breakdown of this new merge. It's evenly split by gender, 5 men, 5 women. We have 3 people from Original Green, 3 people from Original Cream, and 4 people from Original Red. So you've got a pretty good balance here across the board, and even within the swap tribes, 5 from the swap, 5 from the other swap. Like, this is a merge where, like, this first vote's not going to be easy. It's going to be messy.
Yeah.
The lines are so blurred at this point. So I'm very excited. But we didn't go into merge with just 10 people. Remember all those fun hunting grounds friends?
Ooh.
So we had 8 people left in the hunting grounds to have a chance to battle back into this game. So there was 2 parts to this quote-unquote battle back. So first part was they stood in a circle. If you've ever watched the show The Traitors, very similar format to how the voting works there. They all stood in a circle. They were very much kind of just thrown into this concept. They said, you know, here's your chance to get back in the game. Here's how it's gonna work. Here's your chalkboard. You have a piece of chalk, your board in your hand, and you have 2 minutes to discuss. You're voting somebody out.
And it's a public round table. You're not allowed to whisper. Go.
Exactly. So Isaiah and I couldn't whisper to each other next to each other, even if we wanted to like come up with some plan. We would have to talk verbally like this in front of all the 8 people. And if you do anything, like, go back and rewatch that. It is good TV. I will spare you the specific details.
It was good,
but it was great. So first vote out, we saw Amanda go out. There was a little bit of this whole thing of Amanda mainly wanted to play the challenges, and everybody got along super well with Amanda, and we kind of just saw this. Fingers were pointed to Amanda and said, do you want to be in this game? And she's like, yes, but like things just got a little messy there. And once Amanda's name was thrown out there, you have 2 minutes, the name stuck, she went. Next go around, we saw Brad go out. And I think it was because Brad opened his mouth during the Amanda vote, and Brad was actually the only person that did not vote Amanda. So by not voting Amanda, he became visible. Yeah. And he voted for Andres. And then Andres said, you voted for me. And then bam, Brad went out next. After that, during the previous discussion with Brad, we saw Fern get pretty vocal about pitching someone else. And then lo and behold, we saw Fern get voted out. If you're sensing a trend, whoever opened their mouth kind of got voted out, except for Brian. Yep. Brian was somebody who he pointed the finger at Amanda immediately.
First question was, do you want to play this game? And went from there. And it just, he kind of did start that,
And then it went similar, like, you know, with Brad, with Fern, the round that Fern got voted out, when there's 6 people left, Brian still got 2 votes.
Another
the next go around, Alex got a little vocal during the Fern round.
Against Brian.
Alex actually was one of the 2 votes for Brian the previous round. And Brian immediately opened that round and he said, Alex voted for me last time, so I'm going to be voting for him this time. Yeah. I'm letting everyone know. and everyone else was just in their shell and following the lead of Brian. And it was impressive. Shockingly, 5 votes were cast, 4 for Alex, 1 for Brian. Unanimous again. We're down to 4 people.
Not this one.
And this one, I am intentionally going to spare you the details because knives were flying back and forth between Brian and Andres, and you form your own opinions on how that went down. But eventually what we saw was actually there was a alliance that went into this, which is crazy, that they just kind of, Fraser, Joel, and Brian had talked before the challenge at some point today, and kind of said, like, you know, if there's some kind of battle back and we can work together at all, like, let's work together.
Yeah, and if it's not me, I want it to be one of you. Yeah.
And it worked out perfectly.
Come on, looks. Love the fits.
Oh, that's
Oh
another
God,
one.
what did Jordan say? Isaiah's giving color blocking / Statue of Liberty realness. Thank you, Jordan, if you're still in the chat. Thank you. Yes, I have a Triceratops, but I will take Statue of Liberty. I'll take that. Thank you so much.
So we got to our final vote where Andres ends up being voted out 3-1, and that gets us to our final 3, which is the part 2 of this challenge to see who makes it back into the merge.
Yes, this is one of my, as a fan of the game, one of my favorite kind of challenges, but as a player of Can You Survive, the most traumatic. I did not, things happened on my season with this challenge, so you can always go back and look. But it was the Tipsy Table block stacking challenge, and this went back and forth. More than I thought it was going to. We saw not Joel, Brian have a really strong lead in the beginning. Fraser and Joel seemed to they would get their stack maybe about halfway through, and then they would falter. Brian had, I want to say, he was on the last block of the tower, and then somehow, whether it was the wind or the table, anything like that, tower fell. That opened up the door again for all 3 of them, specifically Fraser and Joel, who were trying to catch up with him. And then again, like I said, it just kept going back and forth for a good, I want to say 15 minutes, about like 10-15 minutes. And ultimately, once we got down to it, there was a kind of a face-off between Brian and Fraser. Brian at one point was kind of walking back to finish his tower and to top the table. Fraser was doing his best to speed up because he had 1 block left, so he was just trying to catch up to Brian. But as he was doing so, because of the speed that he was doing it in, he did ultimately knock his tower down, which allowed Brian to take his time and slowly walk back and eventually tap his table. And they earned their spot back into the game, joining the Bigelow tribe, by the way. That is the name of the merge tribe. It's like this nice purpley blue color, which you'll see tomorrow. But yeah, so Brian got to join the merge tribe, and it's going to be I think it's going to be a very interesting situation, because at least from what we have heard, just alone tonight, it seems that there's this kind of general consensus that Brian kind of left the game leaving some sour taste in some of his fellow players, just games and vibes as well, which I think that was a main point for some of the people who were around the fire, saying I don't know if you're going to go as far as maybe one of us, because we don't know if you have those relationships that we possibly have. So I think it's going to be an uphill battle, at least in the beginning, for Brian to find his way into that merge tribe. I think it's definitely possible. I think it's possible in the game of Survivor, but it's gonna be tough for sure. Especially again, you're coming in. Brian was technically the second person voted out of the game, the first person of the hunting grounds. He's literally the earliest hunting grounds member that joined that, and again now gets to join the game again. So he has the most work out of literally anybody to try to get himself as far as possible. So I'm excited to see where that goes.
I don't know if it's blind faith or whatnot, but I feel like dude's got a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the amount of knowledge that he has within the game from all of these different perspectives. He's talked to all of these people who are eliminated, got their elimination story, probably knows where all the advantages are.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of has no blood on his hands. Mm-hmm. The person he targeted at his one tribal was Fern, and Fern got out. So he has 0 blood on his hands, perhaps some personality kind of things to work around in terms of, when I say personality, social aspects to work around of frustrating some people. Mm-hmm. But if he can do a good job of just saying, hey, sorry I was a little off, I don't know what you've heard about me, but I'm a number. We have a lot of big personalities entering this merge, and we have a lot of I can see people already ready to go after each other. So if he can say sorry and fade into the back, I think this dude's got a solid shot at least final 7, final 8. Because if he can be pulled in as a number, and if somebody believes that the narrative of coming back from the hunting grounds is not enough to win the game, which if I was playing the game, I would believe that, and I would grab Brian in a heartbeat and pull him in and say, let's go. I don't care if we're not besties. Let's go. You're a number.
100%.
So
I agree.
I don't know. I'm excited.
Yeah. So so again, we went from our final 15 to final 11 after all of the events today. And we're getting it starting tomorrow with our first, well, technically our second individual immunity, but as a merged tribe, our first individual immunity tomorrow. Yeah, I believe that is, I think, almost everything.
Yeah,
obviously,
if you guys do have any questions,
yeah,
and we haven't gotten to either your loved one that you're watching, and you're like, I didn't get to hear enough about them. We are nearing wrapping up this stream, but if you have any last questions, drop them on in. But if you guys are talking about any questions,
woo. So last night we kind of gave our winner picks after day 2. Mine was Brianna and Kevin's was Melissa. But after day 3,
oh, you read our mind, Bryson. We're literally about to say.
Oh, perfect. Yes, Bryson already. Yeah, you're already there. So day 3, they shifted a little bit. So I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so mine has shifted. I'm still rooted for the same tribe. The reason I shifted off of Melissa is not because of her gameplay, is because of that predator versus prey misunderstanding. Like, she is entering the merge with and I always say, like, Survivor's part luck. Like, she got kind of in an interesting situation because of the bad luck of who went home first, and that she didn't even know this advantage was in play. But I'm interested to see for Melissa if she can work with Brian to say, hey, we're good. Mm-hmm. Please tell everyone that we didn't pick up this advantage, and I didn't get an idol by voting you out, which is interesting. And that's why I said put a pin in that earlier, because I'm like, because Brian could turn this on
100%.
If he decided to be super villainous, he could do this and get away with it and be like, Melissa has an idol. We opened the Beware advantage together and just create this whole narrative, which would be gold. Anyways, the question you asked was, who's my winner pick? And it's shifted from Melissa, and it's Jazzy. So Jazzy is who I am rooting for. Right now, watching Jazzy play, I think is very, very impressive. She, I think, wasn't super, super insulated on her first try.
Yeah.
I could see if they went to 1 or 2 more trials, her name might be on the block. Mm-hmm. But I think the swap gave her an excellent footing.
Yes.
And agreed. She got a lot of cross-tribal connections. Jazzy has played some of these games before, and so she knows a couple of people, as well as from the Amazing Race at the beginning. And then this season, just because we opened it in almost like a one world fashion, I think Jazzy did an excellent job of starting those early connections, and she doesn't have an advantage. She intentionally said in her confessional, she was like, I'm glad that my hunting party's not intact. I do not want an advantage.
Yeah.
This is good. She's doing an excellent job minimizing her threat level. She's even said, I don't think I'm going to do very well in challenges, and I'm happy with that because I know that I won't be a target. So if Jazzy can insulate herself with at least 1 or 2 other people that will ride or die for her, then I think she's good. So assuming that Dave and Jazzy relationship stays strong, I think Jazzy has it in it to win it.
Yeah, I would say I 100% agree with that. I think Jazzy's game has shifted just within a day. I've seen so much more potential for her to go farther, and just to see from her winning the individual immunity, like, she was so excited. She was so proud of herself. She kept saying that how much she needed it, and I think that there's a lot more. I don't know, more coming her way, maybe, whether it's a win or just, like, again, I just feel like just gameplay. I feel like she's got a lot going for her. For me, I know I said this last night. I said that I would, it'd be biased because I am related to this person. But my winner pick after night 3 or day 3 is my sister Tyler. I think that Tyler has, almost like I said with Jazzy, the game play and, like, the way that they're going about it has changed and has gotten, like, better. And again, this is coming from more so, I guess, maybe from a sibling standpoint. Like, I understand how my sister operates, and I think that she, being someone who has never watched an episode of Survivor, she's never seen a single episode. Before she came here, she watched highlight reels on YouTube. Like, she doesn't know anything about the game. And I feel like, as, I guess, almost like a pupil, a new student of the game, she knows that she doesn't know a lot, but she's taking the time to understand it, but also make it her own. I feel like I've seen, like, in the challenges today, she was taking charge, or even if she wasn't taking charge, she was coming up with solutions or coming up with ideas that allowed her team to succeed. And even if they didn't win immunity, it at least allowed them to possibly get better. Like with the stick thing with when Miko was the one making the jailbreak stick. She was the one to say to Miko, hey, maybe make a knot at the end of the stick that helps you grab the rope.
Yeah.
She was the one in the arch puzzle who, again, the arch puzzle was from literally last season. Again, my sister's never seen the show. She was going against a couple of people who I personally think have seen the show before, knew exactly what the arch puzzle was, realized that it was a reverse phrase, and just clicked and immediately got it. So I'm a very proud brother, obviously, but I don't know. I think that she's learning how to adjust. I think socially, people don't really see her as a threat, and I think that's where she wants to be. I think that because she is very much a person, she will speak her mind. She is a very abrupt person. I feel like you were saying in her confessionals, when you're talking to, she's like, no, this is what I want. This is what we're doing. She doesn't really give the whole like, oh, it could be this, it's the what ifs. No, she's very like, this is what I want to do. This is what I was told to do.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening.
No, Tyler's been impressing me.
Yeah.
Like Tyler was on my short list of like who are the people. And one thing to add on to that is she's hiding behind Bergen and Culp, but still playing a strong game. So this is like a big thing is like, if you're hiding behind Shields, there's a world where you get labeled as a GOAT, and she could get to the end and not win. But with her situation, I saw her drive the David vote. She immediately, this is something we didn't talk about on the David vote, but David stepped out to the bathroom, and there's 7 people on the tribe.
Yep.
David stepped out to the bathroom, and they just finished the challenge. And Tyler goes to the 6. She's like, hey, this is really convenient while the 6 of us are here, but like, David's got to go. And it worked.
And
like, when you get momentum on a name and you get it early, which is exactly what she did, it worked.
Yeah.
And like, she's been sharp. You know,
Yeah.
she's not a Survivor fanatic, but she's got the skills to do it.
Yeah. And I feel like just in general, I saw a different change in like the mood of like yesterday and today. I will say she was dying from her allergies yesterday, so maybe that's a factor. But yeah, I feel like there's almost like a fire kind of that I saw in my sister today, which I was really proud to see. So that's currently my winner pick, and I'm very excited to say that her being my sibling. So yeah. But
Carl, whose game have y'all been surprised by? I'm gonna go first because I saw this question and I was thinking about it while you're talking.
Okay.
Cam. So Cam has been our Jeff Probst for many, many seasons and has now joined us as a player. And I mean, Cam was my Jeff Probst. I knew the dude was charismatic. I knew that he was likable, and I knew he had immense knowledge of Survivor. But to me, all of those things paired together say massive threat.
Get out.
Get this man out early. And that's not the case. Like, he's at final 11, and I think the biggest things is less of like seeing him get this far. It's more of seeing his social game has been so. Like, I knew he was going to be good at it, but he is great at it.
Yeah.
Like, to the Fern tribal that I highlighted earlier, the fact that there's 2 idols in this tribe, and Ferns is the only one being talked about, and there's a whole vote around Ferns, is a massive testament to his social game. Because either one of 2 things happen. One, the Taylor, Brianna, and Cam kept that idol location that it's in Cam's pocket in lockstep, which is a massive testament that Brianna and Taylor never leaked it. That's a good social game.
Yep.
Or that the whole tribe knows, but they don't care because they all have relationships with Cam.
Right.
And they would rather get out the other idol, that's Fern.
Right.
And so Cam survived several tribals with like a pretty known idol. And like, that's just massively impressive. I've been surprised, and if he went far, I would be so pleasantly shocked. For me, it's like this man is a walking target, and we haven't seen him be targeted. So that's surprising to me.
Yeah, I would say in the same kind of vibe of Cam, I would say I feel the same exact way of Bergen. I feel like Bergen also Bergen just from the jump is just, if I were to be in this game, so likable, so charismatic, so understanding of the game of Survivor, the challenges, is almost like a leader. I feel like he has like a very much like a leader type role, which normally for me, I feel like that might in the beginning of the game would rub me off the wrong way. But no, like no one really cared that he was very much trying to be the leader. I know even like his Amazing Race history, because if no one knows, Bergen has been on a season of the Amazing Race a few years ago. That got, I believe, leaked or clocked by Jazzy after their Amazing Race little, day 1 thing that they had. So this person's been on reality TV. This person's competed in competitions and things like that, and knows what it takes to kind of again get to at least some point in a game. I don't know. I feel like he just has such a level-headed mindset, but at the same time, I feel like he's going to be someone, especially tomorrow and maybe day 5, if he gets to that point, someone who is willing to make the moves that he needs to make. He's willing to take those risks. I wouldn't be surprised if we obviously don't know, but let's say they have hidden an idol in the new merge camp. Bergen's going to be someone I feel is going to look for that. And if he finds it, he's going to use it, and he's going to use it to the best of his benefit. I feel like he's just going to be a very strong player that if they don't get out soon, kind of almost like Cam, I feel like they're just kind of steamroll. I feel like you really have to look at those players tomorrow and go, these ones, even with Cam with an idol, do what you did with Fern. Flush it.
Yeah.
Or try it, and again, go for someone like Bergen. Go for someone like, like Taylor, who's also big. Melissa. I feel like we're going to see a couple big threats go out tomorrow. I don't think it's going to be a simple day.
No.
For sure.
No.
But yeah. Before I guess we end this stream, are there any other questions from you lovely viewers that you have for us? I'll give you a few moments to do that, but I don't know, there anything else that we didn't touch on?
I think only other things to note going into tomorrow is the fundraising advantage is no more, which added such a big layer to our pre-merge of everyone being like, oh my gosh, if we vote for the person with the most money, who's next?
Yes.
And that's finally gone, which I think is going to give the players a little extra chance to breathe of, okay, we focus on one freaking vote at a time.
Right. And not have to worry about that factor of, oh my gosh, what if the person we go for is still going to be here?
Exactly. And massive applause to Bergen, Brianna, and
Melissa. Surprise, by the way. Those are those were the charity advantage earners for each tribe.
So if you donate to them, massive thank you. But not seeing any questions come in except an Angela.
Oh, Angela!
Love you as well.
Love you. But yeah, great. Well, as we said last night, we
give our props to Alicia.
Oh, Alicia.
The viewers say thank you. Okay, bye.
Okay, great. Bye.
We'll tell her later.
Yeah, we will tell her later. We thought she was closer. She's not. But we will tell her. But yeah, so looking forward to tomorrow for day 4 of Can You Survive the Hunter's Moon. We will see you bright and early tomorrow morning, where our final 11, our merge tribe Bigelow, will be going head to head against each other individually. What do you think about Brian's chances for tomorrow?
I'll give my quick recap, and then Isaiah, if you want to give your thoughts, I think he's got a good shot tomorrow. I don't know if I see him at the final tribal, but I do think he's got a good shot because it's a big shot and the if is man needs to apologize to a few of the people he rubbed wrong, and then disappear,
lay back,
because there are so many other, like, you're joining an existing storyline, so let the storyline play out. Do not enter yourself into this storyline, and if he can do that, then he'll be good. But and then this other piece is he could turn on Melissa and basically kind of target her. Returning player first is big.
It's big, yes. And it can be. I totally agree with you. I think if he just goes, if he went to camp tonight, apologized for whatever, bad vibes he was giving, whoever he had interacted with before he got voted out, and then just lay back, they just disappear, let the remaining 10 of them do their thing for a couple of rounds, find, because I'm sure at some point there's going to be like a battle line drawn, right? Find what side of that battle line he's going to be on and what benefits him most, and go from there. Again, I do agree. I think maybe he can make final 8, final 7. Do I see him past that? Personally, no. He could shock me tomorrow. He could be winning. Who knows? He could be an individual immunity beast, and he's just, he could find an idol. We don't know what's going to happen, but I definitely think he could make it through a few rounds, and I would be pleasantly surprised and pleased to see if he made it even further than that.
I would be shocked and furious if he's the first vote out tomorrow.
I would be annoyed, personally. I don't like when a returning player who has fought their way back is the very first vote, because it's the easy vote. That's so silly to me. I hope that doesn't happen. If it does, it's the game. we roll with the punches. But personally, I, as a viewer, spectator, commentator, recapper, whatever we want to call us, all the things. Yeah, I would not like to see that. But yeah. But we appreciate all of you. I think it's a thumbs up. Thank you. I hope that means that you agree. But thank you all so much for watching this recap with us and tuning in. We really, really appreciate you as always. And we will see you tomorrow night to talk about day 4. We are almost toward the end. We're more than halfway through this game. And yeah, Merge is going to start bright and early, and it's going to hopefully be a pretty good day. So we'll see you tomorrow, and bye. See ya.